Hey guys, if this is your first time tuning in, I'm Justin and this is ShedSome R6. We've been working on the bike on the last few episodes, which are actually the first episodes, and we've run into a few little problems here and there, but nothing too major. On this one, we're going to be tearing into the Countershaft Sprocket. The rear sprocket's going to have to wait, but might as well get right to it. To get into this cover, we just have to undo a few bolts around it. They're just lightly torqued because it's plastic, so it's nothing too strong. But we'll just break them loose and just spin them out. I'm not sure how entertaining the videos have been so far, just because of what we're doing. Normally it would just be, I can't really say normally, but what I'm aiming for it to be is mainly moto vlogs, that kind of stuff. I really like taking pictures and stuff, so there's going to be some of that. And then I'd like to do some drone stuff. I don't own a drone yet. I've been flying my dad's quite a bit, when I'm up here at least. And I've been looking at them, I just haven't quite decided which one to get. And I've been doing so much with trying to get the channel going that I've been pretty busy. And then preparing for all this, for this video. But there's the Countershaft Sprocket, engine sprocket, whichever you want to call it. We're going to get there's a lock washer on here. We'll have to tap. Man. 1 second. Alright. There's a lock washer on here that is behind it, and there's a key groove in this crankshaft, or countershaft, whatever you want to call it. And then this washer is bent up to the nut to keep it down, so we will need a flathead and a hammer to pound that back flat so we can take this nut off. And then this will slide right off. And then once we get that off, we'll clean up in here because all this gunk builds up, and if we're in here, we might as well clean that up. There's no reason not to. With how much crap builds up in there, you might as well dig it out. And then we'll clean up the inside of this cover and stuff, just to keep it clean. And I plan on wiping down all this. And the engine, seems how we did the stator gasket and all that. Or stator cover gasket here. And I want to clean up the whole engine, so that way we can keep an eye on to see if there's any other leaks or anything. And when we pull off the plastics, hopefully next week, to flush the coolant, we'll be able to check the engine. Hopefully I'll be able to ride it between now and then. It depends on if we figure out this damn little nut right here. But we'll get there. I'm gonna grab some tools quick and then we'll get to it. We are back on the Rebel, which means you are now on a tripod, so I have both my hands. We're gonna get this lock washer pounded out. And I did get a new lock washer, so we can replace this one. because the last time I did the chain, I just put the same one back on, and I mean, it's worked. I'm sure you could reuse them at least a few times, but after a while, after one or two chains, you definitely want to do it, because every time you bend it, it's going to get weaker and weaker at that crease. Then I'll just block up the back wheel, and then we can get this off. So to block the back wheel, I'll just put, it's just dense plastic. So I'm just gonna put this swing arm to swing arm, and then I believe this is counter thread to where it'll pull up. We'll find out, but it should work. That's just so you're not putting the strain on the transmission, because I forgot the exact torque of it at the second, but I mean, there's some force there, and I don't really want to rip on the transmission. I just have to grab the socket for that, and then we can pull that off. The front sprocket is a 30 millimeter. The rear is a 32. If I remember correctly, this should be reverse threaded, I believe, and it's not a 30. So this is actually a 32, which means the front and rear axle, I guess if you want to call this an axle. The front sprocket nut is the same as the rear axle nut. That is rather tight. I'm trying not to smash my knuckles on this peg. I guess I'm gonna have to tighten up that chain in order to get the slack out of it. I think the slack in the chain is what's holding this back. Oh, that's probably not good. I realize I bent the hammer. That's pretty solid too. Wow, that's what leverage will do. That's insane. So that's actually the problem. So I'm gonna use a breaker bar across the back. Just give me 1 second. So the repair manual's not saying anything about it being reverse threaded. So I'm just gonna try going the other way with it, which means I just have to change what side of the swing arm that this wood is on. Now it's going to push down instead of up. I'm actually using a hatchet, which I'm just kind of wood clamping to the swing arm so it doesn't move around and scratch it. I will throw a shop rag under it just to play it safe. Last time it was on the bottom side, which I'm not as worried about getting scratched. But this time it's on the top side, which is more visible, so we'll cover that up. Hopefully that doesn't snap. Because if that snaps, we're going to have to figure something else out. All right, here we go. And it broke loose. I guess that is not reverse threaded. That's the lock washer. It's got, I thought it was one little key spot, but really it's a bunch. And this should just slip out once we get the chain off. But at least that's off, because that had to come off before we could break the chain, because otherwise we're stuck where we're at. And I will have to get the new one on and then break the chain, because we won't be able to tighten this without the chain being on it. So I will have to loosen up this chain so I could get this off, unless I could just pull it. But I don't think there's going to be enough slack, so I'll have to loosen up the actual chain. Alright, that's pretty much as loose as we could get the chain now. So now this should slip off, or at least we can get the chain off of it. There's that. Now we could clean up in here. Which there's quite a bit of gunk in here. That's why you clean up in there when you have it off. I'm gonna get in here cleaned and the engine cleaned, and then I'll be back. everything is cleaned up, so now we can get this sprocket back on. This one definitely looks a lot better than that last one. That last one was really crappy and cheap, where this one actually looks professional and name brand. If I get you to focus, I'll show you. I think it looks pretty cool. And what bike part doesn't look cool? I think the easiest way to do this one is to put it on that chain and then slip it on. Because I don't know if we'll be able to get it on and then get the chain over it. We'll find out though. And with the old chain on it, we could get this one torqued down to where it won't go anywhere. We just cannot, like 100% cannot ride on that, like with that chain on that sprocket, because it will destroy this sprocket, because this chain is terrible. And just need a fourth arm. Wiggle this in there. It wants to. The problem with having the chain on it is it makes it tighter and it pulls. Alright, I gotta sit down this light. You'll be able to see enough. I won't, but you will. There we go. Alright, that is on. And then this little, that's the new lock washer. One of these days I'll figure out the autofocus with the video. But so far I cannot get it to work for some reason. So I've just left it in manual and just kind of focused you guys. And hey, a little personal touch never hurt. Because then at least I'm doing my part to help you guys see rather than just the camera doing it. So you just line up all these little teeth. Let me zoom you in a little bit. Then after you put this on, you just bend these up, these two little flaps up against the edges of that, like that angle matches, and then it makes it so it can't spin. And I think that's the reason that this countershaft sprocket nut isn't reverse threaded. And when you put, or when this goes back on, this little dip shoulder end piece goes in, so this is the part that's out. Just throwing that out there. It's always good to know, because that could, I'm pretty sure that part goes bike to bike. But I was surprised when I first changed this sprocket, because a lot of countershaft sprockets, the nut is reverse threaded. Just an interesting tidbit. This torque spec is 52 pounds, so we're going to lower this because this is currently set for lug nuts for a car. And it'll let us know when we're tight. And that's a big torque wrench, so it'd be pretty easy to snap something if you don't set it. One time my brother was using one and the head of it snapped off and his fingers went into the ground. He wasn't very happy. Alright, now we're going to bend these little guys out onto that nut. Seems how that's off now. And after that's bent over, we can put this cover on because now the crankshaft sprocket is done. The chain cover bolts are 89 mm. So we might as well get those torqued. I usually wouldn't torque them, but I figured since how the wrench and everything's already out, we might as well just do it the right way. I usually just snug them up. And this one, it really doesn't matter if you crisscross or go in order. There is little metal bushings, so that way you don't crack the plastic, so it will stop it before going too tight. That's why I normally just kind of tighten them down, because you're not going to crack the plastic. And then we have to put on this coolant reservoir and then do those back to the 106 inch-pound. Which we are back at. I had completely forgotten about this earlier, but it kind of worked out because we had to get behind it anyway, so it would have been in the way if I did put it on. So if you were wondering or realized that that wasn't on yet, that is why. And we will get it on right now. I would torque these right back down where they were. Then when we go to do the coolant flush later on, we'll be able to just unbolt the coolant reservoir right from this bracket. But that bracket gets in the way if you're trying to get that chain cover off. That one is just spinning, which is never a good sign. But I don't see I mean, there is tension to it. I just don't see it going in. Yeah, I think that one's broken off. That's lovely. Well, I could figure that part out though. That one. If it is. Because we didn't replace all the bolts on that timing cover a few videos ago, last video, whatever it was. I do have a few spares if we do have to replace that one. I have 4 more, and they're the same size and length, so that won't be a big deal. But that'll be a wrap for this one. I'm just gonna get a few of the hoses put back on and clean up this garage a little bit because it is a royal mess. But thank you for tuning in, and I'm hoping you're liking it so far. We have a lot left to do, and next time we hopefully should be working on the chain. All right, thanks guys, see you later.